down in a deep industrial park, bad asphalt, that type of thing. So these guys roll up and they say, hey, we've got this really cool idea. My father has this access to these koa forests that are down on the big island of Kauai.
What are koa?
Koa is this wonderful wood. And if you remember the original arbors, they had that really dark, grainy wood. And what they were doing is they're harvesting the trees that were dying or that were dead. And that allowed them to kind of keep green. And they were talking about the big tents that they put up and this big logging, operation to get this dying koa out and veneer it. And they had the access to the veneer. So they came up with this idea. They were passionate snowboarders. Hey, I want to make snowboards. So they found out Yama, and they came down, and they talked to us, and we're like, yeah, sure, we'll throw a veneer down. We've got no problem with that. Well, it actually was a problem, because the koa veneer is not a straight grain. So when it curves, it tends to shoot off and crack. So after maybe 6, 7, 8 tries, we could see it was a beautiful wood, something that was just incredibly rich. And after a while, we started getting it. But Yama was a small OEM production shop. In other words, we didn't do hundreds, 200s, 500 boards. We did 20 units. And the reason why we did that is it allowed young people to say, hey, I'm going to put myself through college. I'm going to order 10 boards, sell them, order 10 more, sell them, maybe order 15 more. So we did really well with this small OEM stuff. But Arbor had big ambitions. So once they saw the product, they were able to ski, board on the product. They were like freaking out. We love it. People love it. At that point, we said, hey, why don't you guys go find somebody who can do the production numbers you're looking at? Because we're not going to change Yama to accommodate these large volume production units. It's just not how we are. We're just too small. We don't have the financing, so on and so forth. So Chris and his partner were very gracious, and they basically said, hey, thanks for everything. And they launched Arbor. They did all their logos with us. They did all their basic boards with us, got their line out,
So
and they
did
moved
they
on.
workshop with you?
No, basically an OEM account says, here's the dimensions, here's the graphics, and we'd like you to build it, integrating our graphics. And so what we would do is we would create all the templates and all the cassettes for their particular boards and integrate their graphic package, get them launched. In other words, they could look at product. It'd be like getting the first, draft of a magazine and saying, this is what we're selling. So once they had that, they were able to generate a large amount of confidence that, yeah, this is badass. These snowboards are going to move. And as I remember, their first logo, they said, hey, can you put this on top of this? They were so excited. These guys were really young, really, real passionate about boarding and really excited about the way because they had nothing looked like that before that. There was no veneered snowboards. And when Arbor did it, they did it with this koa. And koa is this incredible. You remember, anytime you see an Arbor, they have so many different wood species now. But initially, that's all they had. So that was a wonderful starting point.
Can you remind us what OEM stands for?
OEM is Original Equipment Manufacturer. So as I said, if you had a product, you wouldn't manufacture because you're not you're not in a manufacturing. You're on the design side. So at that point, you would find someone who could actually make that product for you. And that maker is called the OEM manufacturer, Original Equipment Manufacturer. So that's how we started so many small companies like Family Snowboards, 5150. Well, actually, Jason Keynes came out of 5150. It came out of Yama to start 5150. They learned their trade with Yama. It was kind of like what we're doing with 333, seeding other companies. You had Trailer Trash, Snowboards. It's been so long ago, but there was, I think, at one time listed 32 different companies that had sprouted from the OEM and or the crews, Family Snowboards out of Newport Beach. They started with Yama, learned their trade, and then moved on, started their own companies. And, sometimes that was, a little bit harsh. You train these people, you work with them, and all of a sudden they're ready to sprout on their own. You say, hey, have a good time, good luck. But at the same time, the crew's gone. So you reassemble it and then you go through this again. But by the time you reassemble it, you've learned that much more. The next crew learns that much more. You've progressed. The shop looks different, looks better. They go out, they have a higher chance of success. And I think what really drove people through all that was this learning process. And not only just learning something, but then taking what they learn and then enabling them to actually make a company out of it and make a lifelong experience. Some of them, were transient. They did 3, 4, 5 years, then moved on. And we're very proud of those people that have worked hard through their lives and become engineers or whatever they turned into. But Yama was seminal in that. It was like kind of a cornerstone. And that's something we've been proud of, and we've integrated that into 333 Skis, giving away our technology, again, seeding American companies. So, cool.
How did they find you?
Well, there wasn't that many people that could make a snowboard at the time. Okay, this is when Kemper came to us. We did their prototyping. Morrow was looking at us for Kemper. So we were talking. We were part of the industry, but we weren't heavily financed. We were a very just kind of not much bigger than the trailer now. And how do they find us? Well, we were in LA. In LA, there was college campuses. There was all kinds of people that were finding out about us, and they'd show up. The Northridge shop, the Canoga Park shop. We had factories, so we had an actually established place, and people would just come in and say, "This is what I want to do. I want to make snowboards. I want to learn how. This is what I want to do." And they drop out of college. You had the family crew had come out of Northridge University, and they were part of a prestigious program in design, and they dropped out because that's not what they wanted. I mean, they did, but this is what they really wanted to do, was make snowboards. Because it was different then. It's not like now. Snowboards then was a small burgeoning industry. People could get into it, very small, and do very well. The clothing companies, it was kind of like the skateboard industry. Now it's Chinese, it's Burton, it's crap. But then it was these really small bitchin' companies, and you could grow them up, and you had this potential, and you were trading snowboards for gear, and it was kind of really small and tight. And even Mammoth then. I mean, there was Penny McCoy, who was really gracious to the snowboard community as they were trying to rise above the dregs of skate and Jägermeister. They were trying their best. And Penny was really gracious, and she gave us time in the big trade shows, and she extended herself. But since then, it's become more like Burton, Kemper, Rossignol, just big conglomerate Chinese crap. But then it wasn't like that. So
you mentioned Burton, and Burton, of course, started in Vermont, and it was a little more grassroots than it is now.
Right.
And it grew in a certain way. But you've decided, as a company, as Yama, going into 333 Skis, that you are going to grow in a different way. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. I mean, we've looked at the consolidation of manufacturing, which ultimately ends up in China. Because if you're going to consolidate manufacturing, the thing you want to cut down on most is labor. And then the best place to cut down on labor is China, which is a communist repressive country. They say labor is not worth anything. The business class is worth everything. So essentially the business model for conglomeration has been, let's just try to figure out how one company can just grow so big and minimize its costs to maximize its profits. Well, Yama recognized profit wasn't in the monetary realm. Profit was in value was created in terms of what enrich people's lives. And certainly money is important for that, but there's so many other things that enrich people's lives. So if you get a company like K2, like to me, that's like the worst of the worst. You're essentially looking at a company that, their claim on their page is, we exist to increase shareholder value. And that with the other half of that statement is to decrease labor value. What we've always thought that labor, working with your hands, from Yama, these people that actually work with Yama, one of the things they remembered is the things that they were able to make. That was value to us. So when we created 333, we said, look, we're not going to consolidate and grow super large so we can maximize profits. We're going to maximize value. And we're gonna rethink capitalism in terms of, profits are great. We see what it does. And in truth, the people that work with profitable companies most of the time don't even like it. And the people that have a lot of profit are pretty miserable. But the people who have value, the people that actually help other people, the people that educate people, the people that care about people, those people are who you want to have dinner with. Those people you want to have a beer with. Not the guy that buys you the beer, but the guy that really, or the person or the woman who's able to talk to you while you're having the beer. And that's the value, okay? Not the foodie idiot. I mean, I say these things in kind of a negative, harsh way, but the truth of the matter is, it's the labor that has so much value to the human hand, to the human person, not profit. And the value lies in the labor. So what we've decided to do with 333 was simply go, let's create a company that manufactures an incredible product by virtue of working with their hands. And then let's take those skill sets, create an apprenticeship program, and give them away so that other people can create value for themselves and within their community. So rather than become like, the next Burton or the next K2 or the next Luminous, these really kind of profit-driven companies, which do a good job. We said, no, if you create value, you'll do an infinitely better job. And that's why when you left yesterday with your skis, you went, whoa, I'm so in love with the value, not the cost or but the value, the experience. Right. So that's the difference.
I love it. So you're looking to inspire companies to be the next 333 skis.
Well, we call it a ski smith. We're trying not necessarily to model. I mean, we are the model. I mean, we're a model. And we're really looking for other people to, put it on a barge, run it down the fjords of Alaska. You don't need to be in a garage. You definitely don't want to be in a manufacturing facility with fluorescent lights. Put it in a trailer, put it in an RV, put it in your garage next to your family so your husband can come in while you're building skis, or, your wife can come in and your child can come in. You don't put it in a factory where you're not going to be there for 10, 12, 15 hours a day. Create a lifestyle around it. And that's why we've created the technology that we have. But it's not to create the next 333. It's to take the technology, it's to take what we've learned, and it's to, find a way to get them to really engage that themselves and morph it into what works for them. Yeah, based on the technology that we've created here.
Thanks so much, Michael.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Let's eat.
Yeah, let's eat.